everybody, and welcome to this special on the full pink moon in Virgo on the 13th of April, which happens at 1:22 a.m. GMT time, and then the moon moves into Libra at 3:09 a.m. So yeah, I'm gonna talk all about the full moon. If you've heard this before, if you listen to me regular, then you can skip the next 10 minutes and listen to what I'm saying about the current full moon. So yeah, in astrology, the full moon serves as a powerful symbol of accumulation, endings, and also illumination. The moon is at its fullest, it's at its brightest compared to the new moon when we don't see it. So yeah, the full moon represents the peak of energy and the manifestations of intentions that we set in the new moon. So a phase in terms of new moon to full moon is about 28 to 30 days, maybe 31 days sometimes, but not really, it's more like 28 days. So yeah, we set intentions on the new moon, we've worked through them for the 4 weeks, and then at the full moon we evaluate and we let go, or we restart or continue. So the full moon invites us to reflect on our personal journeys, encouraging us to assess the progress that we've made and the lessons that we've made in the past year for some of you, or the past 28 days. So the increased energy of the full moon can bring emotions to the surface that are hidden deep within us. So sometimes we can feel overwhelmed and just really hypersensitive, but this offers us the opportunity to confront and release what no longer serves us. And by embracing this time of release that the full moon brings, we can create a space for new growth and transformation, allowing our true self to fully emerge more fully. Of course, if you listen to me, I work holistically, and I believe that self-refinement, progress, and personal development, change, whatever you want to call it, is more like a lifelong thing, rather than we get enlightened or we become healed. We are never healed, we are always healing. And sometimes when we think that we're completely healed, of course some trauma that used to bother us, when we work through it won't bother us or trigger us as much, but we have to allow ourselves that room as human beings to know that sometimes our past may influence our future, so that we can be aware of that and know how to deal with it. So when it is full moon, we can engage in practices that promote introspection, self-reflection, and thus gaining emotional, spiritual and psychological clarity. So journaling our thoughts and feelings can help us process any realizations that come up, and meditation can deepen our connection to our inner wisdom. And rituals such as lighting candles, creating altars, or performing release ceremonies can increase our spiritual insight, and this can make it easier for us to align with our higher self. So the full moon encourages us to use the moon's energy not just for personal reflection, but also for setting intentions for your future, and also integrating the lessons of your past while making way for new opportunities. So now I'm going to talk more about the esoteric. So this is the surface level meanings of the full moon energy and the effect it can have on us. So as I said, it's an increased time of full moon, energy, moon energy, and this can lead to us being more sensitive and reflecting on all the endings that we've had in our life so far, or the endings that may be coming up in your life, and it encourages us to tap into our intuition or our deductive reasoning skills or logical rational skills, whatever. Some of us are more intuitive, some of us are more logical, and anyway, it wants us to recognize the patterns and emotions that have been obscured in the shadows or in your psyche that you've buried, because a lot of us bury our trauma, and this is why a lot of us escape into our drug, alcohol, or Netflix and chill, and all other addictions that we may do, So the full moon and its light illuminates our inner landscape, so it's inward energy, whereas new moon is all about taking external actions, the full moon is all about going within and then reflecting on what you need to do at the coming new moon. So it wants us to confront truths that we may have been avoiding, and doing this can lead to greater self-respect, awareness, love, forgiveness, and deeper connection with yourself, because I'm a promoter of each person should become their own best friend and love themselves deeply, and this is how we can truly love others. And by acknowledging any feelings of regret, shame, guilt, bitterness, resentment and all of that, we can use this energy to manifest change within ourselves and growth, and transforming insights into actionable steps, or transforming those insights, if we are thinking about bitterness and regrets, into things we write down or voice note down or record ourselves saying, and we can make a strategic plan on how we can let go of resentment and guilt and shame. And remember, it's a journey, it's not a destination. We can also practice gratitude, and sometimes we can find it hard. We may not have things to be grateful for, but I'm a great believer that we can have at least one thing that we are grateful for, even if it's just the fact that you're breathing. Even sometimes you may not want to be, because I've been there. I know it can be depressed and and stuff like that, but trying to focus on a positive can really help us, even though things could be bleak in your reality right now. So whether it be through visualization, affirmations, or releasing old habits and beliefs, the full moon energy gives us a chance for more personal empowerment, love and renewal. And by creating a ritual to honor our achievements and the lessons learned along the way, it can just help us feel more in sync. And actively using and engaging with the full moon energy not only increases our spiritual well-being and our mental, psychological well-being and physical and spiritual well-being, it also creates a deeper connection to the rhythms of nature and our own life cycle. So now I'm going to dig into the esoteric, spiritual, deeper meanings of the full moon phase. So again, as I said, it wants us to focus on psychological transformation and emotional and spiritual release, and it can guide us to navigate deeply rooted feelings and subconscious patterns if we're open to it. Because of course the full moon happens for everyone and not everyone engages with it, but if you're willing to go within the full moon energy, it really allows us to dig into the realms of our psyche, our hidden fears, our desires and unresolved issues. And it really is a powerful catalyst for inner work and shadow work. And if you don't know what those are, research, because I'm all about the research, But in short, inner work is all about self-reflection and exploring your thoughts, emotions and beliefs and behaviours to gain a deeper understanding of yourself. It involves examining your inner world to heal past wounds, improve self-awareness and create personal growth. Shadow work is a specific aspect of inner work that focuses on uncovering and integrating the unconscious or repressed parts of yourself. So the bits that you buried, maybe when you was younger, your parents or someone said you shouldn't do that, you can't sing or something, you can't dance, and now you have this urging to be a dancer, but because you've been told that you cannot be one, so you can confront with dark aspects and the side of you that are maybe a bit aggressive, and a part of you that may be confident for some of you, because a lot of the time we are told not to, especially in English culture, not to be egotistical, and anything can be egotistical. If you have any form of self-confidence, then you're egotistical sort of thing, So shadow work includes facing your fears, insecurities and traumas and negative traits to embrace your wholeness fully. And by acknowledging and working through your darker aspects, you can achieve great self-acceptance and transformation. And by integrating all aspects of yourself, you become whole, and then you'll be able to navigate the world in a better way. So yeah, full moon energy is all about embracing the duality of light and shadow, because full moon, we see it when the night sky, it's dark, but then we have this bright light, so it's a visual representation of light and shadow, light and darkness. And as we learn to balance our emotional responses and become more psychologically and spiritually grounded, we can gain wisdom from both our strengths and vulnerabilities, our weaknesses. And by being able to give ourselves space to facilitate this deeper exploration, we can journal to get in touch with our intuitive self, our higher self, meditate, and this can help us get more emotional clarity. And remember, in meditation, because there's a lot of myths, we don't need to still out all the voices, we just need to give ourselves the space to be mindful, watch the voices, the inner critic that comes out. A lot of people say, I'm meditating wrong. No, meditation is all about you becoming aware of that mental chatter, and as you work through your trauma, you will realise that your mind gets quieter and quieter. And as someone who used to have lots of inner critical voices and now have found that kind of still voice within me, I can vouch for it. And the only way I got there was by working through my psychological and emotional trauma, and I'm not a fool. I know the only way I can stay here is by daily working through it as well. So this is why I say that recovery, lifelong management, personal development, whatever you want to call it, is a journey. It is not a destination. So symbolism of the full moon wants us to connect with the archetype of nurturing and intuition, and by inviting these esoteric insights into your routine and researching the symbolism of nurturing and intuition, so loving on yourself, self-care, positive self-care, not overindulging and calling it self-care like, oh look, I'm doing self-care, I'm drinking all the drink I want to drink, and I'm indulging in all the food and I'm being reckless. No, that's not what healthy self-care is about. Providing yourself with the things that are nurturing yourself, so looking after your physical health, mental health and spiritual health, so we can empower ourselves to make psychological shifts, and this can lead to a more authentic expression of our emotions and our self-expression in general, and give us a clearer vision of our path ahead. And it can also increase our self-awareness and love, and strengthens our capacity to manifest our intentions as we move forward. So now I'm just going to talk a bit more about the rituals we can do. So again, as I said, we can set intention, whether we voice record them, write them down in a journal. We can create a sacred space. Some people do altars with candles and crystals and other symbolic representations, and whatever you choose, pictures, tarot cards. But remember, these are just symbols. The real power to transform is within you, and you can do it without tarot, crystals and all of that. But at the beginning of our journeys, we need to use these things to focus us on things higher than ourselves, so we can reflect on our goals, our intentions, and write down what we wish to release and what we aspire to invite into our lives. Rituals such as burning paper and then releasing our intentions to the universe, or burying our intentions in the earth, can symbolise letting go, and placing our new intentions visible on an altar, or sticking it up in your home or somewhere personal to you, or as a sort of like sticky note on your phone screen, something like that. Whatever you want to do. Also, visualization, different form of meditation, breath work meditation, mindfulness meditation, mantra meditation, can amplify your focus at this time. And as you sit in stillness, as still as you can get, and envision the light of the moon, surrounding you and nurturing you and charging your intentions, this can be really empowering, and it can also strengthen your commitment to your goals, but also can create a deeper connection with the rhythms of nature, allowing you to align your personal growth with the universe cycles, and engaging in these rituals can give you significant healing and manifest positive changes in your life if you're willing to take those daily steps to change your life and that positive action overall, as well as forgiving yourself for all your mistakes and realizing failure is part of the journey as much as success, you know. So ultimately, the full moon is about reflecting on your personal experiences and how they align with lunar cycles in general. Journaling your emotions can, reveal patterns in your life, such as some of you may feel a surge of creativity, or some of you may face emotional challenges or different things in between. And by identifying, these moments, these feelings, you can create a personal narrative that resonates with the full moon's energy, allowing you to recognize how it influences your life overall. Additionally, you can reflect on your relationship, the relationships you'll be having with yourself, or relationships in your life in general. Are they nurturing you, or are they taking away from your energy? What can you improve in your relationships? What can you improve in yourself to make sure that you create better and healthier relationships? Also, you could reflect on times where you felt really deeply connected to others and experienced an increase in intuition or connectedness, can provide insights into unique sort of like spiritual vibrations present at this time, and just give you a sense of warmth or clarity on what you need to do in your relationships. As I said earlier, some of you may decide to let go of relationships, so ultimately embracing and reflecting during the full moon energy can create a sense of gratitude and awareness, love and acceptance and forgiveness, increasing your ability to use the energy of the full moon for intention setting and healing. And by actively engaging with your past experiences and thinking about your future and what you need to let go of in order to have the future you want, you can develop a richer connection to the full moon and moon cycles in general, and also just allow the full moon and its presence to serve as a guiding light in your life. So that's the end of this. So you know me, I'm going to do a summary of what it all means, then I'm going to go in depth at the karmic meanings, and then have a deeper look at the Sabian symbology. So okay, so the energetic frequency of this full moon in Virgo is completion, perfectionism, shifting to harmony seeking. So it happens in the 29th, 30th degree of Virgo, and it moves to the first degree of Libra. So the Sabian symbols involved are having an urgent task to complete, and man doesn't look to any distractions, and a butterfly made perfect by a dart through it. So positively, this full moon is all about recognizing the hard work you've put in. It's a time to feel proud of what you've achieved and acknowledge the attention to detail you've brought to your tasks. The Sabian symbol, having an urgent task to complete, a man doesn't look to any distractions, or a person doesn't look to any distractions, emphasizes the importance of staying focused and avoiding procrastination. It's a powerful reminder to keep your eyes on the prize. So Virgo is associated with health and wellness, so this full moon is a great time to reflect on your self-care routine and make positive changes. But negatively, the pressure to complete tasks urgently can lead to burnout if you're not careful, so make sure you're taking breaks and not overworking yourself. Virgo's energy can sometimes make you overly critical of yourself and others, so try to balance your analytical nature with some self-compassion, and the focus on work and tasks may make you neglect your downtime. Remember, rest and relaxation is important to avoid, burnout. So after we have the full moon at 1:22 in Virgo, the moon moves into Libra at 3:09 a.m. as I said, and Libra energy is all about creating equilibrium, balance in our lives. It's a great time to focus on your relationships, ensuring everything feels fair and harmonious in balance, especially the relationship you need to be having with yourself throughout your lifetime. It also, helps us to socialize and relax more. We may feel more outgoing and interested in connecting with others. It's a great energy to use to reach out to friends or plan a gathering. But Libra's desire for harmony can sometimes lead to avoiding conflict and people pleasing. And remember, it's important to confront issues rather than sweep them under the rug, to avoid, people taking advantage of you, getting burnt out and doing too much. So the best use of this full pink moon in Virgo energy is to use Virgo's discipline energy to, do any urgent tasks you've been putting off, stay focused and avoid distractions, take some time out to reflect on your health, your psychological, emotional and spiritual well-being, making any necessary changes to ensure you're taking care of your mind, body and soul. And once the moon is in Libra, focus on creating harmony in your relationships, communicate openly and ensure everyone's needs are being met. Spiritually, because this full moon is at the critical 30th degree of Virgo, it brings a powerful moment of completion before new beginnings. The energy feels both urgent and purposeful, like you're finishing something important before moving into a new phase. The 30th degree is an Archetypal degree. It represents mastery and completion of Virgo lessons around health, detailed work, service. The pink moon name comes from the pink moss floss that blooms early spring, and I'm going to talk more about what a pink moon is in a while. And it symbolizes renewal after careful preparation, making way for, the spring after the winter. This moon bridges perfectionist Virgo energy with relationship focus Libra energy in just under 2 hours. The transition from earth to air element shows how your careful groundwork Virgo now gets its flow into new relationship contexts Libra. It's literally the universe saying you've done the prep work, now share it with others. So yeah, the Sabin degree, having an urgent task to complete, a person doesn't look to any distractions, captures this moon's vibe. It points to a focused determination and the importance of seeing things through. It suggests a karmic completion point, something you've been working towards for months. The urgency component speaks to divine timing. Some tasks must be complete in their proper moment. When the moon shifts to Libra, the new Sabian symbol becomes a butterfly made perfect by a dart through it, showing that what's completed now becomes preserved in its perfect state, but there's a bittersweet element of sacrifice involved in creating this perfection. So some of you may have to let go of outdated lifestyle, relationship or thought pattern. You may have to sacrifice some of your playtime to work, but the sacrifice is going to be worth it in the long run. Karmically, because it represents a completion of a major soul lesson related to service, perfectionism and practical matters, the final degree of Virgo represents mastery of discernment, telling the difference and knowing what requires your attention and what doesn't. This moon is asking you to look at where you've been overly critical of yourself and others, and to release old patterns of overthinking and excessive self-criticism. Completion of health-related improvements or daily routines that have served their purpose. Opportunity to balance your inner perfectionist with greater acceptance. And the transition to Libra brings karmic questions about relationships and balance. Have you been giving too much? Virgo, Virgo's service given without receiving enough in return. This moon helps you recalibrate, get back in balance, and balance the energy exchange between you and life, you and others. The universe is literally showing you it's time to complete something with focus before moving into a new phase of relating and harmony. The karmic lesson here revolves around completion and transition. Learning when your meticulous work, Virgo, must give way to balance and harmony. Libra, it's about recognizing when it's time to put down the tools of analysis and pick up the scales of justice and harmony. So, the key karmic lessons really are learning to complete tasks without perfectionism holding you back, understanding when to shift from service to partnership, working with others and working with the different aspects of yourself, recognizing the balance between self-improvement and harmony with others, and accepting that sometimes good enough is truly enough, and finding the courage to transition from working alone to working with others. This full moon in Virgo challenges you to examine where you've been using detailed work or criticism as a shield to avoid deeper connection with others. The universe is asking, have you been hiding in the details to avoid vulnerability in relationships? In terms of the past life memories and dreams that can come up, working as a craftsperson, with your hands, a carpenter, a plumber, something like that, a healer, a servant who struggled to find balance between their personal needs with service to others, past lives where perfectionism prevented you from experiencing joy or connection, memories of transitions that weren't completely properly, leaving unfinished business, glimpses of times when you've mastered the art of completion and were rewarded with harmonious relationships, visions of sacred rituals where precision and balance were equally honoured may come to mind as well. You may find yourself dreaming about ancient temples where ritual precision, Virgo, created harmony and balance represented by Libra, and these are not random dreams but your soul's way of processing their exact lessons. This full moon is highlighting the sacred dance between doing and being, between serving and relating. In terms of the collective karma, we can have a sort of global recognition that systems built on perfectionism often collapse without the balance of human connection. The unveiling ways are healthcare and service systems have prioritised efficiency over compassion, looking to build more empathy and human connection into them. Awareness of how critical thinking without heart-centred balance leads to division, and the realisation that environmental healing requires both detailed analysis and balanced cooperation, and the exposure of workaholic patterns that have been glorified at the expense of relationships and human connection, and all these ancient patterns can be brought to light for healing, so our collective consciousness can balance itself out and think about the ways it may have focused on completion and become so absorbed in work and responsibilities that we've lost sight of what is important, as I said. So this full moon asks us collectively, have we completed the task of the Virgo age of service and criticism, and are we ready now to move into Libra age of cooperation and harmony? The collective answer to this question shapes our future path as humans sharing one planet. Psychologically, it can highlight the awareness of unfinished tasks and the emotional release of completion, the transition from the old to new beginnings. It brings intensity because it's at the 30th degree of Virgo. It can give us insights about our relationship with perfectionism and good enough, and the recognition of where we may be using, busyness to avoid deeper emotional work. And the transition psychologically to Libra helps us focus on self self-improvement, especially to our relationship dynamics, triggering the awareness of how our pursuit of perfectionism may impact others around us. Are you expecting too much from yourself or others? The psychological shift from critical analysis to seeking harmony becomes a key theme, and the collective consciousness is upgrading around how we complete cycles and move forward. This moon supports, breaking free from the always productive mindset while honouring, the satisfaction of jobs well done. And the transition to Libra brings healing around how we relate to others after periods of intense focus on personal growth or work. And it's about coming up for air and reconnecting, and esoterically it gives us an alchemical, a moment of change, great inner work where lead becomes gold through dedicated long-term effort of changing ourselves and learning to understand ourselves on the psychological, emotional and spiritual levels, shifting from the personal to the transpersonal consciousness, moving from self-improvement to relationship with others. So, the sacred completion of personal mastery before sharing wisdom with others, the evolution from Mercury's analytical mind, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury and Libra is ruled by Venus, to Venus's connecting heart, and the urgency in the Sabian symbol shows cosmic timing, signaling that certain spiritual completions must happen at precise moments to align with universal flows, paying attention to what feels due during this month. So thinking about asking yourself, what do you need to complete? So now I'm just going to talk about what a pink moon is and the positives and negatives and all that good stuff before doing more in-depth analysis of the aspects and the transiting patterns and the Sabian symbols of this full moon. So yeah. So why is it called a pink moon? So a pink moon typically happens yearly in April. It brings us renewal and growth vibrations. It usually happens in Libra or Scorpio depending on the year. It varies by year and location in terms of the peak time of this event, and the Sabian degrees and all of that varies as well. So the full pink moon gets its charming name not because it actually turns pink, but because it coincides with the blooming of the pink moss thallus, which is also called moss pink, and it's one of the first wild flowers to bloom in early spring across North America. Native American tribes, particularly the Algonquin people, named moons after seasonal markers to track time, and this beautiful pink flower signaled the true arrival of spring. So this full moon usually happens in April when nature wakes up and shows off its first vibrant colours after winter. Different cultures have their own names for this moon. Some call it the sprouting grass moon, the egg moon or the fish moon, all connecting to spring themes of growth and renewal. So positively, the pink moon is all about a cosmic astrological fresh start, perfect for planting seeds, literally, or putting seeds in garden, or metaphorically changing habits that will flourish in the coming months. Relationship glow-ups, if it falls in Libra, as it sometimes do, it amplifies harmony, balance and connection in relationships, making it easier to resolve conflicts. The pink moon creates space for letting go of winter's heaviness and emotional baggage that no longer serves you, and many people experience increased creative inspiration and motivation during this full moon phase, and it carries nurturing energy that supports personal growth and transformation. It's like the universe is giving you a cosmic green light to move forward with projects and relationships that align with your authentic self. The energy feels fresh and optimistic, encouraging you to embrace new possibilities, but negatively we can feel emotionally overwhelmed because the amplified feelings might leave you feeling extra sensitive or emotionally flooded. It gives main character energy, but sometimes that can be too much, so we have to chill out sometimes and relax and let other people be main characters as well, and give ourselves time to step into main character in our own life, right? And the growing spring energy can create a sense of impatience, or we can have a difficulty staying focused on tasks, and many people may report the disturbed sleep patterns around full moons, especially sensitive folks to know. And if it falls in Libra, relationship imbalances might suddenly become more obvious and require attention, and the intensity of this lunar energy can sometimes feel like too much if you're going through a challenging time. And the pit moon has a way of bringing hidden feelings to the surface, which can be uncomfortable but ultimately serves with our growth and healing processes. So the best use of pink full moon energy is to start new projects, set intentions, or actually plant a garden. The growing energy supports new beginnings, especially in new thought and lifestyle changes, Clear out your physical space and your energetic field to make room for new growth. Have important conversations, especially if the moon is in Libra, when communication around balance and harmony is supported. Self-care reset, create rituals that honours the needs of your body, soul and mind as they adjust to the changing seasons. And you can place your crystals in the moonlight or any other things you use spiritually to amplify their energy. Rose quartz is especially aligned with pink moon energy, and the pink moon is all about pausing and reflecting on what you want to grow in the coming seasons of your life, creating a simple ritual like writing intentions on paper, reading them under the moonlight, and this can help you connect with and use this beautiful energy correctly. So now I'm going to talk about, how you can integrate this energy into your life. So, one thing you could do is sit beneath the full moon or by a window where you can see it with a pink flower or crystal. Take deep breaths while visualizing the moon's light, filling you with fresh energy and washing away anything that no longer serves you. Set one clear intention for what you want to grow in the coming month and speak it aloud to the moon. Remember, the pink moon is your annual reminder that after every winter, spring returns. Just as nature never gives up on growing, you too have the resilience and power to bloom again and again and again and again and again. Trust the timing of your life and let this beautiful pink moon remind you that renewal is always possible. So that's the end of what a pink moon is in astrology. So now I'm just going to talk more in depth about the full pink moon in Virgo this year. So it brings the energy of focus and completion. As I said, we can feel more focused and driven to complete tasks, especially those that require attention to detail. It's a great energy to do the things, make the changes in our life we've been putting off or given up on, and continue them, and remember that we must get up after each fall, and this is how we can ensure that we succeed, right? And we can just feel a sense of accomplishment. Some of you may finish some projects and you may just take pride in your work, take time to celebrate your wins no matter how small. Improve your time management. We can become more efficient and we can prioritize what's truly important and avoid procrastination. It's a great time to focus on our health and wellness. We may feel inspired to start a new exercise routine or improve our diet, but negatively, with all the focus on work and tasks, we may be tempted to overwork ourselves. Make sure to take breaks and rest when needed. Virgo's energy can sometimes make us too critical of ourselves and others, so practice self-compassion and try and see the bigger picture. We may also feel, less social as we focus on our tasks. Don't isolate ourselves completely. We got to remember that balance is key, and we may feel like that everything needs to be perfect, which can lead to frustration. And remember, done is better than perfect, and I can fully vouch for that. So to survive this full moon, we have to stay focused, keep our eyes on the prize and avoid distractions. We have got this. Don't forget to take care of yourself both physically and emotionally. You're your most important project. Be open and honest in your interactions. Use clear communication, and this will help you to avoid misunderstandings. Balance work and play. Make time for fun and relaxation. Life is about balance, just not work. Let go of perfection. Remember, it's just not all about perfection, is it? So, stay grounded with all the focus and tasks. Make sure to stay grounded and present. A little meditation or deep breathing can work wonders. Nurture relationships, don't let you focus on work and tasks. Isolate you from others, stay connected, trust your intuition, avoid overspending, stick to your budget and invest in what truly matters to you, and try and make decisions that feel right for you as well. Use this time to organise and declutter your space, especially mentally. Let go of what you no longer need. A clean space leads to a clear mind. Don't overwork yourself. Take breaks and allow yourself to rest and recharge. Reflect and review, think about what you have accomplished, and stay positive, as well. So now I'm just going to talk about the key aspects that the sun and the moon make at the time of this full moon. So the moon and the sun make a square to Mars. So positively, it gives us the energy and determination needed to follow through and complete tasks, but it can make us more impatient and aggressive and make us rush to finish without proper care, and paying attention to detail. And it kind of brings a push and pull between action and emotion that can be both motivating and frustrating. So the best use of this energy is to channel it into completing things rather than doing too much at once. Think of this aspect as the universe giving you a sort of espresso where you need to pull an all-nighter to finish an important project. It's powerful, but it needs to be directed carefully, The moon makes a trine to Jupiter. So again, this can make us more optimistic, help us to slow down and be more open to emotional abundance, working with our emotion and having faith that our hard work in the long run will pay off. But it can add to us being too cocky and optimistic, and we can just think that we know it all without actually having the facts, So we have to find that fine line between focusing on detail but also not getting overwhelmed with detail and going with the flow as well. We have to also try and trust in the process while remaining practical as well. It's like this aspect can give us like a wise mentor energy that gives us good advice, and it's now stepping back to let us finish on our own. But those wisdom that we've been told, those words of wisdom can help us when we record them, The moon makes a quincunx to Saturn. So this brings the discipline and structure to our emotional reactions, but it can create feelings of emotional restriction or duty, responsibility overshadowing our feelings. We can shut ourselves off from our feelings, So the best use of this energy is to find ways to honour both our emotional needs and our need to take personal responsibility without sacrificing either, trying to find a balance between our desire to celebrate finishing a project with the knowledge that we still have responsibilities to maintain it, and making the changes and adjustments and compromise when need be as well, because quincunx energy is all about adjusting. And the moon also makes a quincunx to Uranus. So this allows us to have solutions to our problems and sudden breakthroughs in our thinking, but it can add to the emotional restlessness and sudden mood changes negatively. So the best use of this energy is to stay focused on our core priorities while also being diligent as we work on our project as well, and don't abandon our primary focus, focus on what needs to be done. The moon also makes an opposition to Chiron, so it helps us to be emotionally aware and work on our deep healing, but it can also trigger feelings of inadequacy, and the best use of this energy is to use it for healing rather than using it as reasons to give up on ourselves. It sort of like acts as an emotional mirror that reflects both our wounds and gives us the capacity to heal them, which is good. And the sun's conjunction to Chiron also helps us heal our conscious identity of ourselves and a sense of purpose as well, but it also can add to the vulnerabilities in our sense of self. And the best use of this energy is to allow ourselves to shine, including the parts we typically hide, and it wants us to stand in our truth, wounds and all, finding that our vulnerability becomes our strength, and it's about wholeness, not perfection, The moon also makes a quincunx to the north node, and the sun makes a quincunx to the south node. So this positively allows us and gives us the pressure to make the changes to our emotions that we need to, but it can negatively, add to the discomfort that we can feel as we feel pulled between our past and our future growth. And the best use of this is just to make the changes that needs to be done while being gentle with yourself. It's like we're standing at a crossroads this full moon, where we can see both where we've been and where we're heading, and it requires us to find a new path that integrates both where we've been and where we're going. There's also a 5-point stellium, a Pisces stellium, with Mercury, Venus, retrograde, Saturn, Neptune and the North Node all in Pisces. A stellium in astrology refers to a powerful cluster of planets that are closely grouped together in the same sign, house or degree orb. So if a planet's in the 29th degree of Gemini, and then we've got one planet in the 7th degree of Cancer, because those planets, let's say Venus in the 29th degree of Gemini and Saturn in the 7th degree of Cancer, they can still be in a stellium because they are within a degree orb range, and that's how stellium can happen when one planet's in one sign and another's in another sign. That's because they're still within that 10-degree conjunction range that we need for stellium. So stellium can have positive and negative implications, like all things in life and astrology. So positively, a stellium increases the traits associated with the planets involved, the degree orbs involved, or the house involved, creating a strong focus on those specific areas of our lives. It can signify intense determination, creativity, and give a deep sense of purpose in pursuing our goals, going after what we want. Negatively, it can bring challenges, a lot of challenges. It can amplify the negatives of all the planets, houses or degree orbs involved, leading to an overwhelming amount of energy in these areas, and this can cause stress because of the imbalance of too much of one energy surging on you, and so we may feel more pressure to live up to high expectations, or struggle with integrating the different energies represented by the planets within a transiting stellium. So this allows us to be psychically in tuned and intuitively in tuned, in a way that's impossible to ignore. It can make us feel more creatively inspired, and we can just feel like we're divinely channeling things, rather than creating them personally, whether it be art, poem, a book, whatever. We can feel more compassionate in our understanding that goes beyond our logical understanding. It dissolves boundaries between ourselves and the collective consciousness, helping us tap into the collective consciousness and heal things that need healing. And it's basically the universe telling us and giving us the opportunity to trust what we can't see but what we can feel. And our logical mind may be struggling to make sense of things right now, but our soul knows exactly what it's up to. And the presence of Saturn adds structure to these mystical energies, helping us to ground spiritual insights into practical reality by taking practical action to make it so. So also there's 2 T-squares at the time of this full moon. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what a T-square is in astrology and the positives and negatives of a transiting T-square. So a T-square in astrology is when 3 or more planets, normally some people count points. I will only count a point such as the moon's north node if it was like conjunct a planet like Venus at the same degree, something like that in a T-square. I wouldn't necessarily include it on its own. So a T-square is when 3 or more planets form a right-angled triangle in the transit chart, and this configuration involves 2 planets being involved each other, creating tension, and a third planet squares both of the opposing planets, and this is why it's called like a T-square, because it looks like a T. And the positives of a transiting T-square include increased motivation for growth and change, opportunities for self-awareness and transformation, and the potential for breakthroughs in difficult situations. It can act as a catalyst for personal development and push us outside of our comfort zones. Negatively, we can struggle with decision making due to the conflicting energies. We can experience a heightened emotional intensity, leading to stress or anxiety and challenges in communication and our relationships. And it can also kind of bring internal conflict to some of us as well, because of the external obstacles that come, or the internal thoughts of unresolved psychological, emotional and spiritual trauma that can come up. And dealing with these issues internally or externally that come up can require patience and resilience to overcome. So the first one is between the Sun and Chiron in Pisces, Mars in Cancer and the Moon in Virgo and the Midheaven in Libra. So it allows us to process our emotions, but first it brings a push and pull between our deepest emotions, represented by the Sun and Chiron in Pisces, how we take action to protect ourselves, represented by Mars in Cancer, our need for practical perfection and order, represented by the Moon in Virgo, and our public image and career direction, represented by the Midheaven in Libra. So it allows us to do the inner work and be vulnerable, and it supports us to do the private healing that can help us with how we come across in our public life as well. The universe here is telling us to stop hiding our processes and be open to showing them to ourselves and others who we can trust, as they are part of our path and purpose. The second T-square between the South Node in Virgo, the Ascendant in Sagittarius and Mercury, Venus and Saturn in Pisces, it helps us to balance critical analysis with faith, optimism. Our past patterns of perfectionism and criticism, represented by the South Node in Virgo, are evolving in our identity as we seek and explore ourselves, as we have Ascendant in Sagittarius, and we may need to communicate and relate with compassion, and this is represented by Mercury, Venus in Pisces, and our responsibility and giving structure to our spiritual insights, which Saturn in Pisces allows us to do. So this energy, this T-square, helps us to be more expansive in our faith and take a more faith-based approach to life while honouring our need for meaningful connections. Third T-square between Mars in Cancer, the Midheaven in Libra and Pluto in Capricorn, brings tension between our emotional drive and protective instincts, represented by Mars in Cancer, our desire for harmony and balance, represented by Midheaven in Libra, and the transformative forces that reshape society structures, which is represented by Pluto in Capricorn. So this T-square helps us to feel emotionally vulnerable but stable, as well as find new ways to assert ourselves professionally without sacrificing relationships or ignoring massive changes happening in established systems. And it's all about finding power without becoming power hungry, so at the time of this full moon, we've got a lot going on, but guess what, we've got some yods. We've got a yod in the midst, 2 yods actually. So yods in astrology are also known as fingers of gods as well, and this aspect is formed when 2 planets are sextile, so that's 60 degrees apart, and both of these planets make a quincunx, which is 150 degrees to a third planet. So 2 planets sextile, both of those planets make a quincunx to another third planet, or planets if that third planet is conjunct to another planet. So this creates a narrow egg-elongated triangle shape in the transiting chart, and a transiting yod can increase our awareness of our purpose or calling. It can give us opportunities for growth and transformation, and it's a potent energy that really allows us to break free from old patterns that no longer serve you, and or habits, so it can act as a cosmic push towards self-discovery and personal development, and this can lead to a deeper understanding of your true path in life. It can bring bring about unexpected blessings or connections that push you towards your goals. But negatively, it can sometimes be overwhelming energy, confusing to understand all the push and pulls, because, the Queen Quartz is a struggle, so you push and pull. You've got two planets that are like, yeah, we love each other, and then they make this Queen Quartz to the third planet and they're not loving each other as much anymore, So it requires us to confront deep-seated fears and insecurities, and it can be challenging and emotionally draining. It can also, as I said, be confusing, leading to uncertainty and doubt about our choices and, which direction should we go and all of that as well. And also, the challenges triggered by a transiting yod can disrupt our existing routines and our relationships, and it can just cause internal turbulence and changes. And it's essential to approach this energy with an open mind and a willingness to embrace change as resisting transformation, whatever it is that comes up, at the time of a transiting yod, whatever comes to your attention. You may be like, oh no, I don't want to change, but resisting the change can just lead to extended feelings of discomfort and stagnation, just staying in the same old routine. So the yod's like, okay, I know this thing has been comforting, or these things, and maybe you needed these things at one stage in your life, but now it's time to let go and move on to something new. So yeah, as I said, there's two yods at the time of this full moon. So the first yod is between the moon in Virgo, Venus, Saturn and the North Node in Pisces, and Uranus in Taurus. So this yod helps us and supports us in processing our emotions through practical self-care routines, embracing loving discipline in our spiritual plans, and making unexpected but grounded changes to our value systems, So the energy feels like being at a crossroads where the only way forward requires both emotional healing and practical innovation. The universe is telling us that our growth depends on finding unexpected ways to bring our spiritual insights into tangible, touchable forms that we can see, routines that we can see, habits that we can see, and thoughts we can see. And it supports revolutionary approaches to self-care and material security. We've got the second yod, which is between Uranus in Taurus, Moon in Virgo, and the Ascendant in Sagittarius. So it highlights the need to break free from our inflexible value systems and find material stability in new ways, which is represented by Uranus in Taurus. Also, it's a call to process emotions through analysis and service, which is represented by the Moon in Virgo, and express ourselves with philosophical optimism and an adventurous spirit, which is represented by the Ascendant in Sagittarius. And it's all about finding freedom through practical emotional processes, and the universe is nudging us to say the way you've been presenting yourself to the world needs an upgrade that honours both your needs for stability and desire for freedom. So all in all, the Pisces stellium dissolves old boundaries between our conscious and unconscious mind. The T-squares create productive tension that forces the resolution of long-standing conflicts. The yods point to destiny level changes that align with our higher purpose, and the moon's transition from Virgo to Libra symbolises moving forward from analysis to integration, working with all parts of life and all parts of ourselves, accepting the light and dark within us, the strength and our weaknesses, So now I'm just going to finish up with the in-depth Sabian analysis of the symbols affecting this full moon. So we've got the moon at the 30th degree of Virgo that rules the hectic duck in the human body and has the Sabian symbol, as I said, having an urgent task to complete, and man doesn't look to any distractions. The sun's in the 30th degree of Pisces, which has the Sabian symbol, the great stone face projecting, being the projection of an ideal, and this rules the toenails of the left foot. And Uranus is in the 2nd degree of Taurus, which has the Sabian symbol, electrical storm, and rules rules the palate in the human body. The North Node's in the 2nd degree of Pisces and has the Sabian symbol, a squirrel hiding from hunters, and rules the left calcaneum in the human body. The South Node is in the 2nd degree of Virgo and has the Sabian symbol, a large white cross stands alone on top of a high hill and rules the small intestine in the human body. And Mercury is in the 4th degree of Pisces that has the Sabian degree, a heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus linking two seaside resorts, and this rules the nerves of the left foot. And Venus is in the 1st degree of Pisces that has the Sabian symbol, a public market, and rules the right calcaneum in the human body. Saturn is also in the 2nd degree of Pisces, and Neptune is in the 7th degree of Pisces, has the Sabian symbol, a cross line on rocks, and rules the right talus in the human body. So yeah, there's a lot going on, is there not? Yeah. So positively, these Sabian symbols gives us focus and productivity and remind us to stay disciplined and avoid distractions, helping us complete important tasks. The Sun in Pisces helps us to connect with higher ideals and spiritual aspirations. The electrical storm, Uranus in Taurus, so sudden transformative changes that can clear old patterns and bring new energy. And the squirrel hiding from hunters, the North Node and Saturn in Pisces remind us to take care of ourselves and seek safety when needed. But negatively, we may have anxiety and get overwhelmed because the Moon in Virgo focus on productivity can just make us too stressed if we focus too much on perfection. The Sun in Pisces, idealism can turn into escapism because Neptune, Pisces energy can always make us run into our intoxicating habits like over drinking, over using drugs, intoxicating relationships, anything that distracts us from taking care of our emotions and practicalities and the realities of life, And the electrical storm in Taurus brings chaos and disruption that can just be unsettling right now, and we can avoid reality once again. The squirrel hiding from hunters could manifest as us avoiding or procrastinating and putting off what we need to do if we're not careful. In terms of the combined esoteric and occult meanings, these Sabian symbols once again remind us that true power comes from concentration, and it's a call to master our minds and prioritise what truly matters. It invites us to align with our spiritual truths while staying grounded in reality as we try and battle between being idealistic and being practical and real, right? And the electrical storm is a spiritual awakening and purification metaphor. It symbolises clearing old stagnant energy to make way for the new. And the squirrel hiding from hunters remind us to trust the process of life and seek inner safety even when external circumstances feel uncertain. And now I'm just going to talk a bit more about these Sabian symbols affecting our emotional, spiritual, physical and psychological health. So the moon's focus in Virgo can make us critical and anxious if we don't balance with work and rest. The sun's idealism can bring emotional fulfillment if we connect with our spiritual side, but it may also lead to disappointment if our ideals are not met. The great stone face invites us to connect with our higher purpose and spiritual ideals. The cross laying on the rocks, Neptune in Pisces, symbolises sacrifice and surrender, reminding us once again to let go of ego and trust in the divine pan, And the hectic duck, which is ruled by the moon in Virgo, and the small intestine, which is ruled by the south node in Virgo, point to the importance of digestion and detoxification. It's a time to focus on healthy eating, cleansing and sleeping. The right and left calculum, which is represented by the north node, Saturn and Venus in Pisces, highlight the need to care for our feet and lower body, symbolising stability and grounding. The palate, Uranus in Taurus, and the nerves of the foot, Mercury in Taurus, shows paying attention to the nervous system and our sensory experiences, and depending on how we respond to change, the urgent tasks and the electric electrical storm in terms of our psychological health, wants us to, work with our sense of self and purpose and empower us, empower ourselves, although it can be challenging at times, but practically it wants us to, practice mindfulness and stay grounded in between busy tasks, journal our ideas and aspirations to connect with our higher self without escaping reality, engage in spiritual practices like yoga and creative expression to align with our higher purpose, letting go of attachments and trusting the divine plan, especially when life feels uncertain, focusing on our digestive health, eating clean, staying hydrated and considering detoxification practices, taking care of our feet, massaging, stretching or wearing supportive shoes to stay grounded, managing our stress and supporting our nervous system, and trying relaxation techniques like deep breathing or yoga, to break tasks down into smaller and manageable steps to avoid being overwhelmed, and embrace change as an opportunity for growth even if it feels uncomfortable, So now I'm just going to talk a bit more about the practical steps to care for the body parts that are ruled by these degrees. So as I said, the hectic duck is ruled by the 30th degree of Virgo, so we can focus on our liver and digestive health, avoid alcohol, eat clean and consider liver supporting herbs like myrrh, thistle, practice detoxification rituals like fasting or colonics to support your body's natural cleansing processes, keep your toenails clean and trimmed to prevent infections, wear comfortable shoes and practice foot care to stay grounded and stable, as the 30th degree of Pisces rules the toenails of the left foot and the sun's there. Pay attention to our sense of taste and enjoy nourishing flavourable foods, and avoid excessive sugar or acidic foods that can irritate our palate, which is ruled by Uranus, the 2nd degree of Taurus. Looking after our left fascium, stretch and massage our feet regularly to prevent pain and stiffness, wear supported shoes, especially if we're standing for long periods. Looking after our gut health, the health of the small intestine, eating fibre-rich foods, take probiotics, avoid processed foods, consider digestive enzymes if we struggle with absorption or bloating, and practice nerve calming exercises like yoga or tai chi to avoid excessive stimulation or stress, which can aggravate our nervous system health. We can take care of our right foot with regular massages and stretching, and stay physically active to keep our lower body strong and stable, and protect our ankles and lower body from injury, engaging in activities that strengthen our ankles like balancing exercises or hiking. So now I'm just going to give advice for the 12 sun, moon and rising signs. So if you've got a lot of Aries energy in your chart, complete the details before jumping into new partnerships. A lot of Taurus energy, finish health routines before socializing more, so setting up new routines, thinking about how you can make your life more efficient. Strong Gemini energy, wrap up creative projects to make space for new ones and new teamwork projects. Cancer, focus on completing home improvements, taking time to entertain others. Leo, conclude important conversations to create space for diplomacy, where everyone can be heard and compromise. Virgo, finish personal development goals to make room for relationships. Libra, end your hermit phase, step back into the spotlight. Scorpio, you may finish working with other people, making time for one-to-one connections. Sagittarius, career milestones can be reached, achievements, and you can, take time out to create and think about how you can create a better work-life balance. Those with strong Capricorn energy, your learning phase can be finished now, take time to teach and share with others. Those with strong Aquarius energy, deep transformation work could be finished. It's time to rebuild relationships, and Pisces, relationships could be closing and you can find balance in new connections, So ultimately this full pink moon in Virgo is a powerful call to to focus, transform and align with our higher purpose. It's a time to stay disciplined and avoid distractions, connect with your spiritual ideals while staying grounded, embrace, be open to change as an opportunity for growth, prioritize your physical, emotional and spiritual well-being by taking practical steps to care for your body, mind and soul. You can use the energy of this moon to create meaningful transformation in your life, and remember, this is a time of completion and renewal. And what will you release and what will you create are the questions you need to ask yourself. So yeah, that's the end of this very in-depth special on the full pink moon in Virgo that goes into Libra on the 13th of April. I'm Amani, your holistic astrological life coach. Take care and see you next time.